Imagine opening your eyes for the first time and instead of blue skies, you see an endless sea of orange clouds. The air is poison. The ground burns at nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Above you, the sky rains acid. This is not Earth. This is Venus, humanity's new home. But if we had evolved here instead of Earth, if all of civilization rose beneath this hostile sky, what would our lives look like? Could we have survived? Or would humanity's story end before it ever began? Venus. Earth's twin, similar in size, similar in structure, just one planet away. But while Earth became a cradle for life, Venus became a furnace of death. The question is simple, but terrifying. What if humanity had lived on Venus instead of Earth? To answer it, we must descend into the hellscape of our sister world and imagine history rewritten. Venus is often called Earth's twin, but the resemblance ends quickly. The planet is wrapped in a thick atmosphere of carbon dioxide, trapping heat through a runaway greenhouse effect. Temperatures soar to over 465 degrees, hot enough to melt lead. The pressure on the surface is 90 times greater than Earth's, like being crushed beneath the weight of the deep ocean. And the clouds? They're laced with droplets of sulfuric acid. It is the closest thing to hell we know in our solar system. Yet in our scenario, this is where humanity began. If humanity had evolved on Venus, we would not look like we do today. Our very biology would have been forged in fire. Our lungs could not breathe oxygen here. We would need to extract life from carbon dioxide, much like plants on Earth, but magnified to an unimaginable scale. Our bodies would be armored, resistant not only to heat, but to crushing pressure. Skin would need to be acid-proof, bones denser, hearts more powerful to pump against the constant weight of the atmosphere, and civilization itself? It would rise not from open skies and fertile fields, but from survival against an eternal storm. To understand this, look back to Earth. Our history was shaped by rivers, fertile soil, and mild climates. Agriculture allowed villages to become cities, and cities to become nations. Now replace that with Venus. There are no rivers here, no oceans, no fertile plains. The planet is a desert of rock and ash. Without water, agriculture as we know it could never exist. Instead, life, if it could exist, would be forced to feed on chemical energy, carving out survival in ways we can barely imagine. If Venus had supported humanity, the very definition of life would change. Instead of fragile creatures crawling from oceans, we might be hardened beings born into extremes. Evolution would sculpt us into survivors capable of enduring heat and pressure that would kill Earth-born humans instantly. Civilization would not rise under open skies. It would rise underground, in caverns shielded from the crushing atmosphere. Our ancestors might have carved tunnels into the rock, living like a subterranean species, protected from the worst of Venus's fury. On Earth, fire was our first great tool. On Venus, fire is everywhere. Heat is not rare, it is constant. Instead, our breakthroughs would come from mastering chemistry, acid, and pressure. Metals would be abundant, but the challenge would be shaping them without being destroyed by the environment. A world of survival breeds unity or extinction. Our cultures would be centered on endurance, on worshiping strength against the crushing sky. Perhaps we would see the atmosphere as a god, both destroyer and giver of life. Ironically, while we dream of escaping Earth to Venus today, a Venus-born, humanity would dream of escaping Venus to Earth. The blue world across the void would seem like paradise, a heaven, a place where the sky is breathable, the seas are drinkable, and the ground is gentle. On Earth, humanity thrived because of balance. The right mix of atmosphere, water, and temperature created a perfect cradle for growth. On Venus, balance does not exist. The greenhouse effect has run wild, a warning of what Earth could one day become if climate spirals beyond control. In truth, life as we know it could never begin here. But imagining it forces us to confront the delicate conditions that make Earth so rare, so fragile, and so precious. So what if humanity lived on Venus instead of Earth? We would not be who we are today. We would be something else entirely. Creatures born of fire and acid, struggling for survival in a world that crushes and burns. Civilization, if it ever existed, would look nothing like ours. Venus shows us, not what could have been, but what we must avoid becoming. A mirror, twisted and broken, of Earth's own future if we are not careful. Pause. Music swells, and so we must ask ourselves, if Earth is fragile and Venus is a warning, what other worlds hold the answers to our survival? What if our future is not on Earth at all?